Oh, because we have to rebuild the government. Wait, where are the noble people?
Where are the rich folk?
We need those ones.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the Tabletop Travel Guide, the podcast where we explore fictional worlds and civilizations right from the comfort of our own table. I'm Ryan, and this past week we did the finale of my Tyrant campaign.
I don't think any of us had any stories beyond that because that was epic.
It went pretty well. I was pretty satisfied with how things went. So yeah, I think what I'll do is I will write up that final encounter. Maybe I'll put it on Patreon, or we'll do something
We'll
with
post
it
somewhere.
Yeah, we'll figure out something to do with it, because I think the encounter went pretty well.
It was, yeah, so I'm Tyler, and this week in Ryan's finale, he really upped the stakes by offing previous characters when our characters would have died against Harbafon.
Yeah, Ryan, would you have been more satisfied if more of our characters had died?
I don't know that I'd be more satisfied. I definitely was like, I need at least one to die.
Yeah.
And it was definitely, when that happened, your guys' faces were all like, oh no, the battle is real.
Basically fighting against Harbafon, he's level 24 at least, and we were level 20. And the first time he would have done enough damage to kill one of our characters, Ryan's like, you see a blur out of the corner of your eye. It's your character from the last part. And Chad was like, what?
It was so sad.
Yeah.
I also was like, I'm not saving him. I'm sorry. So I'm not sure what that says about me.
Look.
I had one shot to go against Wish, and that was not what I wanted to use it for.
That's fair.
So I'm Sam, and I had a great time in Ryan's finale because I dealt the final blow.
You did.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You did. You called out to Cetaphis, right?
Yes. Which is just the most hilarious, deity situation. I play a cleric, and, as the campaign went on, I really felt like my character was less and less good.
That's all of our characters.
That was kind of the shtick of that campaign, though.
I was like, ooh, I am very neutral. So I was like, we're going to pray to this god that's probably like, oh gosh, this one, she's the follower. Okay.
It's fine.
But it worked out fine. And I would just like to say that, I had the final blow for this one. And then also in part 2, when we took down the Ravener, I also had the final blow for that one as well. So you're welcome.
Dang.
Party.
I think Charles had the final blow on the first part.
I think so.
He did.
Because Sam wanted it.
I did. That was hilarious because that was my character that literally had a vengeance quest to murder the big bad,
and the
I
one
did
you
not
didn't
get
murder
that one.
was the one you had a story hook into it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Well, yeah. So I appreciate you guys playing.
Yeah,
I had fun.
That was awesome.
I will. I'm sure I'll rant more.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a Tyrant's Grasp spoiler guide, adventure guide rant here.
It's gonna be a 2-hour podcast. Good
Yeah, it's
Lord.
fine.
But with all that being said, I believe Tyler, you have prepared us some undead related information for today.
Yeah, and quick reminder, you can support us on Patreon. Also, before we dive in, we have things.
Yes, I did forget this. Yes,
we misspoke. This was something I misspoke. At one point, we were talking about the god of
beating stuff up in the arena.
Yeah, basically
arena fight stick.
Yeah, basically
stick.
the god of of challenge, and I called him Kurth, which is hilariously one of my characters in a different campaign, but it is actually Kurgis or Kurgis. Yeah, he's kind of like, if the Olympics had a deity tied to him, it would be this guy.
Nice.
He is the demigod of healthy competition, sport, and physical development.
Yeah.
So literally the Olympic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
His
dude.
holy symbol is
Yes.
literally a flexing arm muscle. So there you go.
So, diving in, we have left the Broken Lands, and we are heading into the center of Avestan.
The last
our
part
last
of Avestan.
section of Avestan,
Mhm.
called the Eye of Dread. The theme of this area, I would say, is how is each country dealing with Tarbafon? in some form.
Nothing bad happens in the Eye of Dread.
Yeah.
I was like about to describe this as like, we've done the donut of Avestan and now we're at the donut hole. But like, donut holes are arguably a delicious, amazing dessert that I would prefer over the donut. But I do not think that is an accurate
this
description.
Is the actual empty part of the donut, which is just
it's
sad.
the gaping hole. There is no donut hole.
Yeah. So the Eye of Dread is probably the biggest change between first and second edition, because while Tar-Baphon was sealed away in this area for most of last 1,000 years, the Tyrant's Grasp adventure path, which we will cover in a few weeks, flipped the entire area on its head. We're not going to go too much into story about this episode. We'll hit that in the Gravelands and Last Wall and episode in the future. Ryan's really prepped for that. But there's going to be a lot of references to Tar-Baphon as we go through this meta section, so just be prepped. So the TLDR is that Tar-Baphon, he's a powerful wizard turned lich, whose main goal is to ascend to godhood via the Starstone. The Shining Crusade was able to seal him in a tower called Gallowspire, and he escapes less than a decade ago, which is why everything has been thrown for a loop just very recently.
Okay.
So be prepped for talking about that more. But instead, today we're going to be talking about Ustalav.
Ustalav.
It's fun to say. So it's the country directly north of Lake Carthen, basically west of Numeria, and the River Kingdoms and south of Mendev.
So it's got some great lakefront property, is what you're saying.
It's got great lake property fronts. If you've ever seen the meme map of the Lost Omens Inner Sea region, you'll see that Ustalav is labeled as Fantasy Transylvania, and it's incredibly fitting. Life in Ustalav seems mostly normal on the surface, if not a little macabre, but there are many stories of things that go bump in the night, and we're going to cover several of those stories. So it's kind of a great place if you really like gothic murder mysteries, if you like an ultimate werewolf-style survival campaign, or just some high society nobles with skeletons in their closet, both figuratively and literally.
Nice, good.
In beautiful gothic mansions.
Yes. So as we dive in to the history and lore, there are kind of three distinct time periods of Ustalavic history. I had to look up how you pronounce
that sounds right.
It is. I did look that up. It's Ustalavic.
Rather than Ustalavian.
Yes.
Because that's too many syllables.
Yeah, so you have the founding of the kingdom of Ustalav. You have the time when Ustalav was ruled by the Whispering Tyrant, a.k.a. Tar-Baphon.
Yep.
And then you have the rebuild into the immortal principality of Ustalav after the Shining Crusade. So the other thing to note is beyond large segments of history, like beyond like the big kind of time periods with an overall theme, it's kind of a collection of many different counties and areas. So things are kind of happening all over the place. There's not kind of like a through line of country history. Everybody's kind of doing all types of things.
Yes.
So this is going to be a somewhat meandering history that follows some tentpole historical situations, some dives into mysterious organizations, and as always, some wild side stories that are happening along the way.
Yes.
Love it.
One final thing. For the sources for this episode, I used the campaign setting book called Rule of Fear. And then I also used a little bit of the Inner Sea Region Guide, the Lost Omens World Guide, and then the Wiki.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. So let's dive in. So, Kingdom of Ustalav, BWT, before the Whispering Tyrant. This starts in 2361, later than a lot of countries.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not too far back.
Yeah. So we're looking at like 2,500 years ago, give or take. Like most places in Avestan, it didn't start out as a unified country, but it was settled by numerous Varisian families.
Okay.
So some places had Kelids. This area had a lot of Varisians, which we've talked about in the past. So in 2361, a man named Soividia Ustav kind of united all of the Varisian settlements. He kicked out the native Kelid population,
Rude.
drove out all the local tribes of orcs,
Jeez.
and established the nation of Ustalav. Because, of course, you got to name it after yourself in some form.
People have no creativity.
I mean, if you're driving off multiple other groups of people, might as well name it after yourself, I guess.
Good thing no one was named Bob in this universe. Like, welcome to...
Babia.
I like that.
Babia.
Bobton.
Bobton. We'll get
The
there.
Principality of Bobtovia.
Ooh, I like Bobtovia.
We'll make that. So, for 5 centuries, Ustalav grew, and it was ruled by Ustav's descendants. So, monarchy, he kind of did his thing. Up until 2862. At that point, a near constant feuding among the clannish Varisian families kind of began to dominate the kingdom.
As is traditional.
As is tradition.
Sounds right.
So at the time, King Kaldimov, decided to split the nation into 16 counties to keep civil war from happening.
That's okay.
Yeah, so basically what he did is he assigned each county to be ruled in perpetuity by the various families that are effectively the noble families.
Yeah.
I just think this is an odd tactic. Like, if I split them into 16, then we can't have civil war. But, like, as evidenced by the U.S. Civil War, people just form conglomerate groups, and you can still have a civil war, even if you have smaller chunks. It's fine.
Yeah, so they each kind of had the autonomy to do whatever they wanted, but they still owed allegiances to the monarch.
So feudalism.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, basically. So real quick, the counties are Amans, Ardil, Barstoy.
What? It says barstool.
It does. That's not right. It autocorrected. I'm like,
Correct with a barstool.
That's not right.
the ancient thing of barstool.
Yes, I think it's Barstoy.
Barstoy makes more sense.
Califas, Grodlich,
That looks right.
Genoit,
Mhm.
Lozeri, Ordanto, Scenaria, Tam Ravenna,
Mhm.
Olcazar, Varno, Versix, Viland, Veerhold, and one that's been lost to time for good measure. So there are new ones in modern day called Virlik, which is the combo of Grodlich and Veerhold,
Okay.
and Canterwall, which was previously Tam Ravenna.
I liked Tam Ravenna as a name, though.
Right. The last one, Genoit, was controlled by the Archduchy of Melkat, which, if you remember from the River Kingdoms,
hey.
is now Razmirin.
Okay.
Hello.
So basically, this is kind of the golden age of Ustalav. Everything's great. Several hundred years, they're just vibing, living. Until 3203, when the Whispering Tyrant returns to life, unites the Orcs of Belkzen,
Dun dun dun.
and basically leads an uprising in Carrion Hill, which is a place in Ustalav, butchering a bunch of people.
Ew.
Great.
Yep.
Yikes.
So 1 year later, in 3204, Prince Ardurus II, one of the sons of Ardurus Veerholt, the current king of Ustalav,
Mm-hmm.
goes to fight Tarbafon, loses, and his undead slain sword is lost.
Wait, okay. He has a sword that slays the undead.
Yes.
And it is missing.
Yes. When he dies, it's lost with him.
Dang it.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. A year after that, Ustalav is besieged by hordes of the Whispering Tyrant. The Ustalav armies get supported by the Church of Pharasma. They launch a crusade against the tyrant. A Pharasman bishop named Prince Adamandius Veerholt, another son of King Ardorus.
Well, sure, because the other one that doesn't become the monarch always joins the clergy.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
He led crusaders to Gallowspire, bearing the holy mace called Raven's Head.
Mm.
It's a good name.
Right? And they fall to the tyrant's magic.
Dang it.
Not surprised.
Yep. Adamandius' half-brother, and Dryadus.
My goodness.
Veerholt.
Dryad.
Where's just the one that we can just name Andy?
Yes.
Adamandius was a busy man.
Whew.
Ardurus was a busy man.
As Ardurus was a busy
Yes.
man, yes.
So, Adamandius' half-brother, the bastard son, Andriadus, is royally acknowledged by the crown, since he's the only son left at this point.
Ouch.
But rather than openly opposing the Whispering Tyrant, he forms a compact with a lycanthrope named Skarsny?
Scarzni?
Sczarni.
Scarny?
Scarny? Maybe the Z is silent. Let's go with
Sure.
Yeah.
Sam's like,
My
trying to
mouth
sound
is
it out.
moving, and it's the words, the letters. I'm just like,
It's fine.
Nope.
So he creates the Prince's Wolves, which is a tribe of Varisian werewolves to fight in a covert insurgency.
Love it.
It's a good book, by the way.
It is good. And then in 3206, the counties of Ustalav fall apart and fall to the Whispering Tyrant. The last,
See, now you want the Civil War or the
Yeah.
Unity.
right? So the last king of Ustalav, King Ardorus, is slain in the Battle of Dawnmarsh and gets reanimated into an undead called the Shrieking Sovereign.
What?
He basically then leads the tyrant's legions into Artis and hangs himself from the palace tower.
Oh
as
my
an
gosh.
Example.
Wait.
Whoa.
He hangs himself as the example.
Mm-hmm.
This'll show you.
Yeah, like
Wait, so is
he's
it
the
like-
undead being compelled to hang himself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's so sad.
right.
Oof.
So, as you can tell, from the awakening of the tyrant to the fall of Ustalav was 3 years.
Jeez.
They mowed through them.
That is bad.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys were like, he can't be moving that fast. And I was like, yeah, he can.
Oh, yeah. He's moving. So,
Man, Ryan was really nice to us. He gave us like months to prepare.
I mean,
I
yeah,
guess we were on like the whole continent.
it's fine. So, between 3200 and 3800, it's basically uncontested rule by the Whispering Tyrant.
Oof.
There's one interesting thing of note that happens during this time that's not just sad and more sad. So, the vampire lord Malleus leads a purge called the Blood Drought, slaughtering or exiling all vampires within Ustalav who refuse to join the Whispering Tyrant.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, okay. Going after the ones. Okay. Yeah.
So a small cell of resisting vampires survives in the south at this point.
Great.
So let's talk a little bit about vampires.
Yes, let's do
Do
it.
they shine in the light like diamonds?
Oh, gosh.
Shine bright like a diamond. Okay.
That's why we can't go in the sun. We sparkle.
Okay.
Um,
Not that type of vampire. Much cooler.
yeah,
So-
because that's arguably the worst kind
Yeah,
of vampire
obviously.
ever.
Anyway, Sam has strong feelings.
Look, if you were a vampire and you were living forever, why would you want to go to high school?
That's the real thing, right?
We should watch Twilight, guys.
Would you like to hate watch Twilight? That
I
sounds,
would watch Hate Twilight.
that
Okay.
sounds great.
I've never actually watched any of the movies
Neither
front to
have I.
back.
Oh my gosh, let's do that. We'll record all of the ridiculous commentary. It'll be great.
Like
things
Mystery
that-
Science Theater
yes,
3000 with
Things
us.
that no one asked for or really wants.
Fair. So anyway, coming into this episode, we'd talked about it before, we've covered it in campaigns, but like I knew that vampires were kind of the unspoken rule in Ustalav. Like there are vampires kind of all around,
Sure.
and it's kind of just like the open secret that they exist. What I didn't realize is how much Paizo also writes it that way. So like rather than some of the times them being like, this person is kind of mysterious and a little shady also, but actually they're a vampire, they really just kind of leave it open-ended.
Okay.
Like they hint a lot. For when I first started this research, I'm like, I don't know if there are any vampires in Ustalav. Like, am I going insane?
Sure.
But there are. It's a lot of just like, come to your own conclusions. And
Maybe.
so they kind of write it that way.
Okay.
When it's like,
Mm,
this person, we'll get to it, but it's like, this person doesn't seem to age.
weird.
Cool.
Weird. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Also kind of frustrating. It took me a little bit. So vampires are kind of ubiquitous, but they tend to be kind of hidden away. Ustalavic people do not like vampires.
Mm.
Great.
So, they don't like being killed. So it's kind of like a,
Oh darn!
How
I
dare
really
they?
don't love
Right.
these people.
So it's
that
not
want
like
to
Geb where like
suck my
vampires
blood.
are up and around and that's just expected.
Yeah.
So let's talk two main players in the vampire scene. We already talked about one, Malleus, but we have another one, Luvik Sirvaj.
Luvik Siraj.
I apologize about butchering all these names. Please tell me if I'm wrong, because I probably am. So Luvik is a super old vampire, and he's kind of lived for more than 2 millennia,
Jeez.
and was around even before Tarbafon rose. So he's kind of effectively the leader of the vampire community in Ustalav.
Grandpa Vampire.
Grandpa
he
vampire.
real old.
And he holds himself above Tarbafon because he's like, I'm older than you, little whippersnapper. And so he defied him when the tyrant instead granted Malleus dominion over all the vampires.
Okay.
So is his problem with Tarbafon just like, I've been here longer than you, or is there also like a divide on like vampires are the true undead?
Yeah, I think it's a
and
little bit
you
of that.
cheated.
I think it's a little bit of that kind of like superiority. He's not like a good guy. Like he's
No,
still kind
yeah.
of an evil vampire, but he's like, we're better than this. Like
You
we're not.
snubbed me for a cabinet seat.
Yeah, we're not serving under you. Like we should be the peak. Like
Okay.
vampires are
Okay.
kind of the peak. So on the flip side, you have Malleus, who is a powerful Kelid vampire lord, who is one of the Whispering Tyrant's most trusted lieutenants.
Yay, the Kellids.
Oh, this is the victory story? Oh no.
They finally have representation in government.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
They kind of hate each other. But Malleus kind of has more of a hate for Luvik because he wasn't able to confront him at all during the war before the Shining Crusade came through.
Wait, so is this
So he's
like
mad because
this guy's my rival, but he doesn't know he's my rival, and I'm more mad
Luvic
about it.
basically is like, I want no part of this. We are going into hiding. He's not fighting this against the tyrant. He's just like, we are resisting by staying out of the fight.
Okay.
And Molly's just like, come fight me, you coward. So Molly still harbors hatred for all the vampires who didn't follow the Whispering Tyrant. Again, that's kind of like the one big thing that happened.
Sure.
Kind of. But 3801, Shining Crusade comes in, secures a beachhead in Ustalav, that good lakefront property.
What does that mean? They secure a beachhead? Like they have a resort, or they have like a military outpost?
Mai Tais, little umbrellas.
They basically have like a military outpost to resupply.
Okay. I was like, I'm not sure if I know what that term
They
means.
D-Day'd into Ustalav.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they came from Karth and D-Day'd their way in and went from there.
That makes more sense.
And then 3827, the Whispering Tyrant is imprisoned. Ustalav is returned to its people.
Woo!
Which brings us...
And by the people, you mean vampires?
I mean, the people. Actually, the people. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, again, it kind of goes back like, if there are vampires, there's like a couple very clearly written vampires and some that are just like, these people are mysterious. So you're like, I think that's a vampire.
Okay.
Pretty sure. So one of the problems is you had these 16 noble families who were serving in perpetuity. And after 600 years of the tyrant's rule, those families are kind of gone.
Sure.
So a census was created in 3832 to find any existing noble lines.
Oh, because we have to rebuild the government. Wait, where are the noble people?
Where are the rich folk?
We need those ones.
Yeah. We
can't just reestablish some new ones.
Exactly. So 2 years later, in 3834, they found the Ordanti and the Calavaso lines.
Found as in create, or found as in like, hello?
They found descendants of.
Okay.
Oh, hey,
Hello.
bro.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can be special.
Yes. So Andrados, they like the A's,
Mhm.
Ordanti, ascends as the first prince of the immortal principality of Ustalav.
Great.
So the ruler of Ustalav is now the prince.
Okay.
Okay.
In 3836, Countess Sasaja Calavaso, these names are hard, guys.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She refounds the city of Califas. So she's another noble line, but not the main ruler at this point, since they give the Ordanti line. You'll see a lot throughout history of the Calavasos trying to gain power and like become the main rulers
Okay.
without success.
Okay.
About 30 years after that, Luvic, our vampire friend,
I was just saying, wait.
relocates all of his vampires into the ruins beneath Califas.
Bro.
She brought the city back. What did she expect? They were like, ooh, look, the real estate's better. Let's go there.
It's free real estate, baby.
Real estate boom. So we're going to do a quick side story about one of the mysterious organizations.
Ooh.
So 3988, a Count of Viland, Aldous Alden Cantor.
Oldest Alden.
Seriously. He returns from an exploration into Osirian and Deep Garund.
Dang, he went real
he's
far.
out there.
Yeah, he went far. And so when he returns home, he began lecturing on foreign philosophies and mystical paths to magical power.
Sure.
He claims that the angel Tabris revealed secrets of the multiverse to him.
What?
Which isn't an unreasonable claim in this setting, is the
In
thing.
this setting, that's not that unreasonable. So him and his followers found the esoteric order of the Palatine Eye.
Wow, that is a name.
Right? Gotta be super epic.
We can call it Eop.
Yep, Eop.
Eop!
So, the Eop, they're a secret society, and their mission is to study and monitor dangerous lore and inhuman monsters.
Oh,
which
well,
fits
that's
pretty
kinda
well
cool.
into Ustalav.
I like the name Eop now.
Eop.
Oh, you joining Eop?
Eop.
I'm going to do a 2-year internship at Eop.
We send out the will you sponsor Eop? We need your help. So their current antagonists are the Whispering Way, which are the followers of the Tyrant. And they actually, since during the fight when Tarbafon came back, they were more increasingly direct and open while combating Tarbafon,
Okay.
which kind of disturbs the more older members who are like, but guys, we're so secret and
We're a
code-like.
secret organization. You can't fight people.
Yeah. A little bit more to come on that. About 11 years after this, 3999, so right before the new millennia,
Sure.
a mob of angry citizens disrupt an orgiastic rite
What?
Cool.
in a structure called the Spiral Cromlech
Oh my
moments
gosh.
before the new year. Like
That
so,
is a Y4K.
yes. And I'm like, orgiastic. Does that mean what I think it means? It is. It means what you think it
I
means.
don't think I've ever heard the word orgiastic.
Neither did I. But you can infer.
Really hope there are no children listening that now parents have to explain that word.
Sorry.
That's what I'm going to stop.
So, among the quote-unquote witches that were found in this rite was
Oh.
Count Cantor.
Oh.
Oh boy.
And
Hey,
so
buddy.
he is forced to resign. They're like, whoa, dude, that's super weird. You
Oh
gotta
my
get out of
gosh.
here.
There you go. Politicians and the sex scandals.
Yes. So his cousin, Oberyn Imarin, becomes the new count. And then he's still the leader of Eope for several years after that.
Okay.
But in 4208, he gets removed from the head of the Palatini due to erraticism and dementia.
Oh my
poor guy.
goodness.
Yeah. So he vanishes a year later
Oh jeez.
under mysterious circumstances.
Oh no.
So the next thing to happen, which is another kind of like interesting side area of Ustalav, is that in 4213, Castle Ardora in Varno, one of the counties,
Mhm.
falls to a curse and is renamed Bastard Hall.
And that's not a autocorrect, it is Bastard Hall.
Yes, Bastard Hall, all
Cool.
one
Okay.
word. So Castle Ardora was kind of the seat of the Ardora noble family and traces its lineage back to a paladin named Airgale Ardora.
Okay.
Aragale?
Here we go.
Aragale.
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 Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
name.
So they ruled until 4213, where a series of events kind of led to its downfall. Apparently, a maid allowed a stranger that looked very similar to Aragale himself into the library,
It's always the library.
but this is a couple hundred years after he was alive, so he was like wrapped in cloth and looked similar, but like he wasn't the current leader.
I mean, I don't know that that's on like the maid. Like,
Yeah. But
oh, you look like the person that died 200 years ago.
Yeah.
I should know
Yeah.
not to let you in
No.
the library.
no, but it's like stranger. Like you're like, I don't
Okay.
know, let's a person in.
Stranger
So
danger.
7 messengers the next morning go out to search for distant relatives of the Ardora family, and a black coach rode through a nearby village, My Serene, while a fog obscured the castle from view. So
Well, this sounds like a gothic
Yeah,
mystery.
kind of gothic mystery, normal stuff.
Okay.
So on the following nights, animated corpses of the castle's servants go into the village and capture several villagers and drag them back to the castle.
Oh boy.
Don't like
Villagers even destroyed the bridge leading to the castle because it was on a lake, but a spectral one rose in its
that.
place.
Don't like that.
Due to this, the village was abandoned because obviously that's shady.
I can't imagine why.
That is the
Hmm.
correct response if a ghost bridge appears near your town.
Yes. We'll be back.
Oh boy.
But moving on a little bit, in 4288, blatant vampire attacks are happening in Caliphas, and they lead to a widespread purge of the city's undead.
Okay.
Luvik, our friend,
Buddy,
orders his followers to go into hiding and adopt subtler practices.
come on.
Look, he knows what's up. He is here to, like, make it in the long haul.
He is here to vampires are surviving hell or high water.
Guys, you can't just go out and kill people in broad daylight.
You gotta be subtle with it. Come on. So yeah, I said we'd be back. So
Real quick, apparently.
right, 4313, 100 years after the last situation, a black coach is seen coming from Bastard Hall, and it abducts villagers from the surrounding lands.
Cool.
Oh boy.
The black coach is also a creature you can fight. It's
Oh,
basically
okay.
It's like a
a
thing.
magic kind of coach that goes out and steals souls.
Great.
Interesting.
Again, like I said, this is a lot of kind of random fun facts in Ustalav with a little bit of tent poles.
You're not selling me on Ustalav so far. Like,
I mean,
random black coach.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Maybe this will sell you. In 4399, the home of Aldous Alton Cantor, remember,
Uh-huh.
Yep.
of the Eope, his home, the Cantor House, catches fire just moments before the beginning of the new year.
What is with him in the new year,
Oh my
man?
gosh.
I don't know. It's mysterious.
Mm.
That doesn't even mean vampire things, though. Like,
I don't know. So the fire reveals a stories tall, egg-like monument of black stone hidden within the mansion.
Sure.
None of the Cantor descendants admitted to having known about the nearly 33-foot tall monument, and it remains a mystery to this day
is
as
this
to
a
what
Monty
the heck
Python
it is.
bit? There's a 30-foot tall black spire. No, there isn't.
We've
What's
never
that?
seen it.
What's that over there? What's that?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, just kind of one of those things where you're like, what is happening? Never explained. Just a mystery.
Sure.
Fun mysteries. Then we go to 4413, 100 years after the last Black Coach incident. A Black Coach from Bastard Hall raids nearby villages again.
Oh my gosh.
Black Coach is just
Look-
busy.
Every
This time,
100
though,
years.
local heroes besiege the castle and succeed in burning it to the ground.
Oh, there
yeah,
we go. It only
okay.
took us 200 years.
Right? They made it. They made it work. 100 years later,
Oh, jeez.
Bastard Hall reappears, fully reconstructed, with seemingly more towers this time.
It's like the Hydra. Chop off one head, more come back.
The Black Coach claims nearly a dozen victims before disappearing once more.
Cool.
Jeez, it's like Baba Yaga. Like,
Right? Yeah,
popping
it's
out. Hello.
yeah, and like it's rumored that like it'll go and look for descendants of the Ardora or the
Oh
family.
my gosh.
Yikes.
Yeah. Let's fast forward a little bit to 4521. The ruler of Varno at the time is named Count Ristamar Tyriak.
Hmm.
Him and his fiancée, Iltania
Mhm.
Arspeta, are attacked near a town called
Corvisior. Corvisior?
gosh, stuff. Iltania is murdered. Tyriak is beaten near to death. A
Yikes.
loyal servant named Radia saves the count by infecting him with vampirism.
Oh, that's like the movie.
What movie?
Which one?
Don't they do that in Twilight? Don't they save?
Wow.
Don't they save girl because girl
Uh,
doesn't want to be vampire, but then girl gets hurt and girl becomes vampire? This is my knowledge of Twilight.
Yeah,
guys.
slightly more complicated and also way weirder, but
Yeah.
sure,
Anyway.
general premise.
Okay.
So, overcome by grief at the death of his fiancée and the fact that he is now a vampire and he does not want to be, he slays the residents of his family home
Oh, jeez.
and goes into isolation.
Okay, I don't support that.
Yeah.
That's one way to react.
He then reestablishes control of Varno and travels to search for a cure for his affliction.
Okay.
Fun fact, this is about 200 years ago, and his people currently think that he's just the latest in a long line of absentee rulers, but he's been hiding the fact that he's a vampire for 2 centuries and rules under different guises every so often.
So, but he only pops up like a couple of years. Like, hello, I'm still here. All right, I gotta go.
It's like, I'm a new guy. I'm the son of this person.
He's our dude from the River Kingdom.
Yeah.
Just reinventing himself.
Yeah. Next event, 4606, friend of the pod Aridin dies.
Mhm.
Ustalav, nothing really happens.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not
nice to hear.
Yeah, it's not terribly affected, except the fact that they're neighboring other places where a lot of things happen.
Sure.
The Whirlwind forces hundreds of Sarkorians to flee their homes. In 4611, Merate or Dante denies them entry, leading to an awkward amount of slaughter
Great.
Oh.
of the innocents along the northern border.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. Fear of the Sarkorians bearing demonic corruption led the, quote, invasion to be called the Demon Skin War,
Mm.
which is an interesting note based on perception of invasion versus fleeing.
Sure.
Oh,
Kinda
yeah,
hate
'cause you
this.
just have people like trying to get out of a scary
Yeah.
bad place.
And Ustalav's like, we're being invaded.
Oh,
Let's
boy.
kill them.
Yikes.
Hmm.
Kind of a downer. But guess what? In 4613, the Black Coach is back.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
And attempts to burn the castle again and in the slaughter of an entire peasant mob.
Jeez.
What? This coach?
Has claimed more lives.
This coach is the antagonist of our story. It's not Tarbafon. It's not the vampires. It's the coach.
This has been, it's kind of my favorite part reading through the timeline because you're like, and then the Black Coach shows back up. Moving on. Soon after, not soon after, 4662, the worship of the god Razmir is forbidden after the chaos that happens in the Archduchy of Melkat.
That
Reasonable.
seems very reasonable.
7 years later, However, Razmiri missionaries claim lands along the undefended southern border of Varno, and weirdly, the reason I talked about Count Tyriak before, he cedes hundreds of additional acres of land to Razmirans. Rather than try to fight him back off, he's just like, have some land. Take all the acres.
Does he think that Razmir, the living god, will make him a living person?
No, because it seems like a pretty kind of weird move until there are discovery of bloodless corpses that soon begin showing up in the lands that the Razmir missionaries settled, while occurrences of bloodless corpses are decreasing in other parts of Varno.
Oh, he was like, please come settle here so I can eat you.
Yes. Yes, he was like,
Food.
he was like, ooh, I don't want to eat my own people. I feel bad about this. But hey, those people, come get some land. Further immigration since then from Razmir has gone down.
Weird.
Oh, no.
The next kind of big tent pole of something that happened in Ustalav, we've had a lot of side stories and fun facts, but one of the big tent poles is in 4670, a lot of weakness and mismanagement among the nobles led to an upheaval and bloodless rebellion in western Ustalav.
What about the story you've been telling implies that there is a poor sense of leadership among these nobles?
Truly shocked.
Okay. So the counties of Lozeri, Tamravenna, Violent abandon hereditary rule and adopt a cross-country parliamentary democracy.
Oh.
They're still loyal to the crown, but they're known as the Palatinates. Palatinates.
Okay.
All right.
So in 4674, the Ustalavic capitals moved from Ardis to Caliphas. The prince at the time, Prince Valislav Ordanti, dies of illness soon after. And then Prince Eduard Ordanti III ascends the throne, who's the current ruler of Ustalav. Mircalla Calavaso, a longtime consort to Valislav, the fallen prince, gives birth to a child she claims to be Valislav's son, naming him Renaeus Ordanti.
Okay.
Mircalla soon disappears.
Oh boy.
And Renaeus is adopted by his aunt, Countess Carmilla Calavaso, the current head of the Calavaso family.
Okay.
This is very like England way back in the day, like when we had like the House of the Tudors and the House of the Yorks, and how are we getting in? We want to be in charge, and how do I get my kid up into the monarchy?
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to the modern day situation. Most people live in Soividia, which is the 9 provinces of eastern Ustalav that run on the hereditary noble families, and that's where Caliphas resides.
Okay.
Caliphas is currently in an overcrowding crisis caused by refugees from Last Wall, flooding over because elsewhere in Ustalav, apparently outsiders are generally met with pitchforks.
Jeez.
Great.
However, on a good note, probably the one good note of this episode so far is the Palatinates on the northwestern side is an area of innovative ideals and cutting-edge science.
Oh.
Science!
So it has a prestigious university of Lepestadt.
Oh.
And where doctors, alchemists, and academics from all over the world come to make like breakthrough innovations in technology and science and medicine. There's actually like stuff of them now getting Numerian technology to kind of like increase their technologically interesting finds.
I like this. Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of a cool place. And then the final place of Ustalav is the Viralik. It's kind of a haunted part of Ustalav. It's where Gallowspire was. It's the domain of the Whispering Tyrant, or it was, and it's kind of uninhabited and very dangerous.
We don't go there.
Yeah, it's not great.
Cool.
Like I said, current ruler, Prince Eduard.
Yeah, it's like Edward, but with an A.
Yeah, Edward Ordanti III has been ruling for 3 decades, but he's kind of basically indifferent. He's very much more of a soldier than a politicker.
Okay.
So he approaches most situations with a kind of bluntness.
Okay.
He relies on his advisor, Diaduin, when discretion is necessary.
Diaudin.
I need you to make this go away.
Yeah, kind of. Like, you need to deal with this. Carmilla Calavaso, known as the Ruby of Caliphas, because she's more than 70, but looks half that age.
Mysterious.
No more is said about it.
Eyebrows up and down.
There's some eyebrows there.
She's got some really good skin cream.
Turns head 20 degrees to the right.
The Ruby of Caliphas. She's a huge critic of Adward.
Sure.
And is very power hungry. Everyone is expecting her to try to put her nephew Rheneas on the throne and usurping Adward. He's like just come into kind of manhood.
Oh, okay.
So there might be some. That's kind of
where
where
he would
we're
have
at.
to be 30 if Adward has been ruling for 3 decades. He'd have to be that same age if his mom supposedly got pregnant with him prior to the old king dying.
Yeah,
Okay.
supposedly. It's
Allegedly.
it's still kind of an open.
I got pregnant. It's been 5 years. That's how that works.
Well, it's an open question of whether it is even
That
the
kid.
ruler the
well,
ruler's
sure,
son,
but
yeah.
like if you were gonna make that
But-
claim, like I feel like you would have had to do it pretty quick.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, he's at that point
Mhm.
unclear whether she tries to take control yet.
Sounds like a good way to get stabbed, Sam. I would like you to do the math. Can you please prove to me that this is the correct child?
Yeah, that kind of brings us to present day, and we're kind of where we're at. It feels kind of unsafe. There's like maybe one interesting place to be.
Okay.
But what's the black coach doing?
Hold on.
It
40
would have
it's 47. It would have come 10 years ago.
Okay.
And what? We get no update? How
yeah.
rude.
What is this?
That's a great question.
What kind of
Actually,
second-rate podcast is this?
I need to check it.
I wanna-
The rule of fear ends at 47:11. So
Oh.
if I find an update, I'll let you know. I couldn't find anything on the black coach in 47:13. So who knows?
I'm just laughing that Ryan and I made the same noise. It's fine.
We're just here for the black coach updates.
Right?
I mean, aren't we all though?
Who's it gonna murder now? Oh, I wish I had known about that prior. I would have made a different campaign.
Yeah. Well. So yeah.
Okay. Interesting. There's a lot going on.
Yep.
And definitely no vampires.
Definitely no vampires.
Perfect. Well, with that, we will take a quick break. Definitely not influenced by any vampires of any kind. The need for blood is constant, and sometimes that need becomes critical. From black coach victims and werewolf attacks, to the Ruby of Caliphas and those who are definitely human, the Prince relies on all of us to make sure that blood is on the shelves and ready for use. That's why the Ustalav Blood Fund needs you. Make an appointment to give blood today. Your one blood donation can help blood donation can help save more than one life. Donate today. Thank you for your support and welcome back, everybody. So I think now, Sam, you have a definitely not black coach campaign for us.
I do.
It's just like, dang it.
It's okay. I am amused by my campaign regardless. I decided to take a lighthearted approach to Ustalav.
Seems
Since I figured it was going to be a lot of like gothic horror and we might need a little bit of an uplift. So I would like to orient you to my campaign by having everyone think of the movie/television show What We Do in the Shadows.
I don't think I watched much of this. Is this a Nickelodeon?
No.
It's on FX right now. I think
Okay.
they're wrapping
It's like
season 6.
It's like kind of comedy vampire.
It's
Okay.
a mockumentary of a bunch of vampires
Yeah.
like trying to like the US version is a TV show and they're like living on Staten Island and
It's like Jersey Shore but vampires.
I mean they're all like way older, so less Jersey Shore vibes, but more like how do we exist with humans around?
Okay,
And
okay.
then there was a movie prior to this by the director for the couple of the Thor movies. What's his face?
Waititi?
Yes.
Waikiki
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Waititi.
Yes.
That like takes place in Australia.
Okay.
But it's like the same premise though.
Nice.
Is like you've got like these vampires trying to like hack it in modern day life.
Okay.
So with that premise in mind, everyone in the party will have to take the vampire archetype.
Oh no.
So
okay.
not sure who we brought, because you all will be vampires living in Caliphas. And essentially the campaign, which I'm assuming is either going to be a one-shot or a shorter one, you are some kind of lesser nobility, and some visiting government people are coming to stay in your mansion, and you have to behave as normally as possible and try not to let the visitors know you're vampires, and also try not to murder anyone while the GM throws bizarre situations at you that might make this difficult.
It'd be like, make a will save to not eat that, like to not drink that blood.
Well, the other thing that I want to do, so an older mechanic is character flaws.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to do a version of that with like the vampire archetype, because like you get all these like cool things, but like I also want there to be like some weird things. Like if you decide, cool, I've been a vampire for 200 years, your quirk might be that, you know, you are really obsessed with this thing from 200 years ago.
You keep making out very outdated references.
Yeah, just not,
people are catching on.
Not things that are going to be like character hindering, but just like weird little things that might just make it more difficult for you to play off that you're a human.
Yes. I love this.
That would be so fun.
Love this. This is such a good idea.
Also, oh man, that just seems... Yeah, that would just be so funny. Just to be like, just kind of chill, lighthearted stuff. Like, guys, you gotta hide the bodies. Like,
I just imagine that like one of like the things is like everybody, it's like a dinner party, and you go to dinner, and then one of the NPCs like accidentally like cuts their hand on a knife, and then it's like, there's blood. What do you do?
like, sorry, I hope no one's squeamish, and everyone's like, oh no.
And then you had to roll will saves to like not like go murder this person, or like they invite you out to like go do an activity that's outside, but depending on what level you are, you might not have like the daywalker part of the archetype yet. So how do you handle being outside in the sun?
Tons of sunblock. Big hats.
I suggest we make this into like your murder mystery dinner.
Yes.
And like, everyone's in except for one person.
Oh my gosh.
One person's a human and doesn't realize everybody else is vampires.
Like everyone is in on it except for Chad. And then like see how long it takes Chad to figure out what the gig is.
Chad, don't listen to this episode.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, this is incredible. Okay. Well, so I have two characters. I have my character, and we have a second Patreon character. So my character, his name is Kuna. He is a catfolk.
Mm-hmm.
And I envisioned Kuna, because I don't think catfolk are very common anyway. Like, but there's already very shadowy, like mysterious kind of things. I gave him the gravedigger background.
Because he just likes to dig.
Well, he just like, I envisioned him like, he already can't participate as part of normal society mostly. I guess I didn't really get the vibe that they're like racist. But I also don't feel like there's lots of non-human vampires.
And now we're going to make him a vampire.
Okay. You know what this is giving me, like, vibes of?
Go.
So, do you guys remember that movie, Bunnicula?
Oh my God! Yeah!
This is movie from the 90s about a vampire bunny.
I don't remember. Was it supposed to be a children's movie?
I don't.
But it was actually horrifying?
I think all I remember is being in my friend's basement and like watching this on a big screen TV, and it was terrifying.
There's like a bunny with red eyes, and that's like all I remember about it, but like horrifying.
Bunnicula.
I'm looking at like the covers. There's a 25th anniversary edition apparently.
Oh.
What? Okay, yeah, I guess that's kind of what this is.
Cat.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of vampires, and then cat vampire just like off on the side, like, oh yeah, he works here too.
He's here. It's fine.
Yeah,
there was a book series too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I had him as like a magus, and like, you know, took care of people's undesirables and dug the graves.
Nice.
And
yeah.
So I think there's definitely some interesting quirks we can get there, especially with like some arcane talents. I'm sure you can work in like is really hyper focused on someone else's magic, or like you said before, like, oh well, actually I knew a spell for that way back in the day.
Like, yeah. So I guess would you want your catfolk to have been a vampire for a while, or like a relatively new one? Because you could kind of go either way.
Ooh. I think if I was going to go for a long living catfolk, I think I would want my quirk to be like I have to rename the spell of like old timey spell, like like firebolt. Well, back in my day, we used to call that flame bolt.
Or no, the best thing is if you play into the remaster and then you're like, back in my day, that spell used to be called Magic Missile, and now it's Force Bolt.
Oh, that'd be funny.
You pull all the old names? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so that can work, but I also like the idea of like he was turned into a vampire like 5 days ago, like, completely unable to control some stuff. This is good. This is good.
Nice.
All right, Sam. So our second character then is from our patron Rodney P.
Okay.
The character's name is Gazdarian.
Oh boy. Is that the name or the...
Gazdarian or Gaz.
Okay.
Elenos.
Man, I feel like we've had a Gus, we've had a Gaz.
I know.
Yeah, so Gaz, we got Gaz. Class Sorcerer. This is not going to work.
I'm really excited. Tell me.
Gaz is a tall skeleton.
Huh.
He wears loose-fitting robes, and when in public or unfamiliar places, he wears his hood up to hide the fact that he's a skeleton.
Okay, so new plan. All right, so Gaz is not going to be a vampire, but Gaz is going to be like the butler in the house.
Oh, yes!
That we
Who's
also
like definitely
will
trying
have
to be human.
Yes, we're going to have to disguise him. Like, it's going to be the whole thing is how to make the skeleton look like it's not a skeleton.
Honestly, the part of the biggest challenge is like, okay, we all can hide the fact that we're vampires. How do we have to hide Gaz?
There's like they're doing a toast. Gaz is like looking around like, oh, what do I do with the drink? Oh no.
You hear a splash. Like takes the drink, you hear a splash. Someone's like, what is that sound? It's like, that's the fountain outside.
Yes.
He's incontinent.
Oh
it's
my
fine.
gosh. Oh, so Gaz is supposed to be, oh my gosh. Gaz is supposed to be the party face.
Okay, no, this is good for the butler.
I'm so delighted.
With his specialty in deception and disguises, he has a slew of faces and voices of various races he's using.
Oh my gosh. Okay, new plan. Not only is he the butler, he is every single like household help, but he acts each one as a different like person.
There's only one help.
But he's all like 8 of them.
Is that the same guy? What are you talking about? No,
that's the
you
cook.
just talked to the butler. This is obviously the cook.
You pull up in the carriage and there's like a dude in a full black coat, just like cutting the hedges outside, and then you pan like, "Hello, may I take your bag?"
You looking like there's just the hedges on the ground.
But he's also like the only one that can go outside in the full sun.
That's
so
true.
Yes, of course he's the party face. He has to like answer the door and go get the groceries.
Oh my gosh, every time anyone, it's like, oh, we could go out and talk in the garden. There's like 12 people like at the door frame, like, no, it's just the weather looks terrible out.
It looks about horrible. To
rain. Looks like, yeah. I heard the weather, the weather crier say it was going to rain. It doesn't look cloudy. I just know.
Okay, so Gaz was given us, we'll see if this works. He awoke a decade ago as a skeleton in Viralik with a cloudy memory. He, as a character, isn't sure how his body got to Ustalav, but he was a thrall of the Whispering Tyrant's army. So after the Tyrant's defeat, he laid there until all the necromantic energies woke him up previously. He tries to grow as a sorcerer. He wants to collect books and artifacts. He does want to get his memory back, which I feel like we could play with. He keeps forgetting who he is. That's why he jumps in all the different roles, maybe.
Yeah, he's trying to figure it out.
Which one feels best?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we always ask our patrons what their quirk is, if there isn't already a quirk we've given him. He cannot admit to being wrong, even when shown a proof of being wrong.
I saw you out there trimming the hedges. Buddy, that was not me, I swear.
He's not above playing dead or falling into a pile of bones when faced in a situation that is too awkward to deal with. Aren't you also the gardener? Collapses into a heap.
Okay, this is my favorite campaign character combos.
I can't. Guys, we've peaked. I don't think we can top this. Also,
oh no.
Also, I think it just goes to show that our patrons are much better at making characters than we are.
Oh my gosh, like it all works so well.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Gaz, welcome to the team.
Yes, thank you, Rodney, so much. That was fantastic.
Oh man, Sam, we need to run this. We need to run this somehow.
I was gonna say this is what we do for Halloween, but Halloween's a way off.
Oh. Okay.
We need to find a way to run this.
We
This
gotta
is
do
too
it.
good.
This will be our next long Saturday
It'll be like
session.
a Q2 patron reward
Oh
or
my
something.
gosh.
I don't know.
I can't do funny voices. We need someone who can do funny voices.
Dang it.
I don't know if I can do that many funny voices.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Anyway,
Whew.
thank you. Thank you,
Oh.
Rodney.
Thank you.
Welcome to the party, guys.
That was great.
We'll never do better.
So with all that being said, guys, we need to rank Ustalav.
I don't give it a high, guys.
Ooh, I don't even think it can be funny and rank this high. I feel like
what's our
scale,
scale?
vampires, blood bags,
Coffins.
0 out of 10, definitely humans.
definitely authentic real life humans.
Yes.
Oh, black coaches.
Oh,
Duh.
yeah.
Black coaches.
Obviously.
Yes.
We're idiots. Come
0
on.
out of 10 black coaches.
Yes, black coaches. Okay. I don't think it's a 0.
No.
The College of Science sounds fun to me.
Yeah. The Palatinate sounds like a good place to be. I'm like,
I feel like I'm giving it a 2.
yeah. It's just there's just a lot of risk. And especially because it says unless you're in Caliphas, a lot of outsiders get met with pitchforks and torches.
Cool. Yeah.
And they already kind of don't like outsiders because all the last wall refugees. I
Yeah.
imagine there's one area that would be good.
Yeah, I think 2 feels. I don't want to say safe. I feel like
2, yeah.
'Cause,
2.
Yeah, there's the one redeeming thing. There's some cool science.
I mean, there are so many adventure plot hooks. Again, like everything else, as an adventure place, so many hooks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So great.
Lots of problems to be solved.
As a place to travel, as a tourism, we cannot recommend this place for your safety. All of our listeners.
Yes.
However, sounds like a great place to set a campaign
Yes.
or to venture in during a campaign.
Yes. Good place for adventure hooks. Okay, 2 out of 10 black coaches.
Love it.
Perfect. Well, of course, thank you to all of our listeners. If you're enjoying us, the best thing you can do is recommend us to a friend. We love hearing when people say, I talked to my session group or I talked to my other players.
Yeah.
Love that. Also, you can support us on Patreon. We'll have a link in the show notes or on our website. You can search for us, Tabletop Travel Guide Podcast on Patreon. Also, our email, tabletoptravelguidepodcast@gmail.com. Our website, I'll put some pictures and some character sheets we talked about in here. Our website is tabletoptravelguide.com. Tyler, do we have anything for the Instagrams?
I'll put up the updated draft board on Instagram, and I posted some things about our epic Sunday or Saturday finale.
Yes.
So I've been doing some campaign stuff. So
Pictures of just us playing.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you want to get a little bit of a sight into some of the games we play, check that out.
Into our mediocre, average games.
Average games. They're great.
We have
They're
fun.
fine. Yes.
So awesome. Thank you, Tyler, for our wonderful, I don't know about wonderful, our enlightening, our questionable trip through Ustalav.
Yes.
And with that, safe travels, everybody.